Hello, and welcome to the Pearls of Wisdom podcast, where we explore the nature of transformation as well as the intersection between philosophy, psychology, creativity, artistry. What else is there? Oh, and spirituality.
There we go. I like that.
This is my guest, Howflyy. He is an artist and an entrepreneur.
That's
And we've been friends for, I think, a year.
Has it been a year?
I think
No.
so. I feel like I met you last spring.
Where?
I remember. No,
I do remember. Yeah,
I
you're
have
right.
photos from it.
You're right. I met you at Tiana's party.
At Tiana's party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was like a year ago, almost.
Yeah, I think it was around this time.
Yeah.
It's so funny because I feel like when I met you and James, and I think there was another person there, but yeah, I feel like I talked to you guys for a long time,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
Like, there is something about the vibe that I was like, I don't want to leave.
Yeah, it was kind of like, because, it's funny. I had to sneak James in that party.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he didn't RSVP.
Why am I not surprised at all?
So we had to, James had to. He had to James the bouncer to be like, hey, he's like, no, it's cool, I had to James the bouncer. and then we was in there.
I wish he was here, honestly.
Yeah, for real. And then, that party was dope. I feel like, because the only person I knew there was Tiana. I didn't know anybody else. But I feel like when we saw you, it was like, just like, yo, this is cool.
The vibes were there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So much so I have like literally a whole photo shoot of y'all on that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got like a robots folder.
Yeah. A robots folder?
Yeah.
Of pictures of me?
Of just all of us, like just doing random
yes.
shit.
Yeah, some good stuff. But anyways, okay. It's been a minute since I've seen you.
Been a minute.
I kind of want the fresh update.
Fresh update.
Of just like where you're at these days.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like last time we spoke, you were kind of focusing on like healing from some injuries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which kind of affected a lot in your artistry and like, I mean, your physical body can affect like your whole life. So how's that been?
Well, I had a sports injury that's pretty bad, tore my Achilles tendon, and then got the surgery. Then with that, I gotten sick from the surgery, so that kind of prolonged it. Like oh man, if you guys ever have to go to the doctor, make sure they're good. The doctor that I got the surgery from, he, I guess, did one of the steps incorrectly, which had left some suture wire like in my leg. So then that caused like my body to treat it as an infection. Oh. So now I was like really sick, but like I didn't know why. I thought I was just like stressed or just tired or, whatever. Mm-hmm. Come to find out that was in there. Then I had to have another surgery. But I'm good now. Like I'm totally good. Back in the gym. I got like 5 albums worth of music.
Oh my God.
That I'm gonna finally put out, because I've really been like I haven't really been doing music like that for like probably like 2 years, just because I've been dealing with all this. Mm-hmm. But through all that, I was still able to kind of refine my music and make the music that I wanted to make, kind of on my own. It's interesting because me with music, I had success like early. Like DatPiff, like YouTube, like 2012, 13, like YouTube with no ads.
Damn.
No, like that. Like I was like 19 in college. So like I learned how to do everything on my own at first. And then when I moved out here, started getting the actual studios and being like actual engineers, you kind of stopped doing that stuff. But being hurt, I kind of had to re-teach myself all of that. There's a lot more tools now than just like, how it was. So now, just I'm about to drop all this music. I've just been like filming a bunch of content and just getting back to like where I was, And that's really it. Just music and just being my true self.
Yeah. So when you were recovering and like also feeling sick, you're still working on music. Were you working on music, refining your craft? And
I was more so because I had a lot of parts of music, like maybe like a verse here, half a song here, a beat here, some notes here and there. But I just was able to put it together in like a cohesive way
Sure.
and refine it.
Yeah.
And that's been a cool process too. I would encourage anybody who's an artist to go back to their old stuff and just kind of like, refine it, make it better. So yeah, that's really what I was doing, when I could.
So I didn't know this about the YouTube thing.
hmm
What did that look like? Like, what do you mean by early success?
So like, I've done music since like middle school, right?
Okay.
I was in like a group in middle school. High school, I was in like 2 groups.
Bands?
I was in like one little band, but I was
Okay.
in like a couple rap groups too.
Okay.
And in high school, MySpace, there was like MySpace Music. I had a MySpace Music page, and we like inadvertently dropped kind of a diss track on like somebody
Okay.
at our school that kind of like went a
Okay.
little viral on MySpace, but it was really mean though.
Oh my
So
god.
we ended up getting in trouble and like had to take it down. It was like this whole thing. It was like
The drama.
they labeled it cyberbullying before
Oh,
that was like
okay.
a
You were
thing.
a cyberbully?
Not it wasn't intentional. Like it was just we thought it was funny, but
Well, yeah, I'm sure bullies do think that
so
it's fun to pick on people.
so anyway,
Okay.
I get to college. I kind of was like, I'm done with music. I ended up being roommates with a DJ who would DJ all the house parties, and he was like, I showed him some of my stuff, and he was like, dude, you should just like make music. And I was like, nah, I don't know if I want to do it. And he's like, let me DJ a couple like mixtape ish songs for you, and like let's put
Yeah.
it out, see what happens. So we put out like 2 songs, just like a YG remix and like something else. And I didn't really think about it. Next thing you know, it's getting like 10,000 hits a day, like
Oh my god.
20,000 hits a day. Like this is YouTube. This is literally like 2012
Yeah.
YouTube. So it's like I'm like, okay. So then me and this guy, his name's Eric, DJ Emac from Inglewood, we made a whole mixtape. I put it on DatPiff, and on DatPiff it got like hundreds of thousands of streams, downloads,
Damn.
like just stupid, and like I don't even know what's going on. Getting all these messages. I make a SoundCloud, like same thing. So then I was just like, you know what? Let me just do this. And then that's when I just decided to do it. Yeah. And then from that, like I was able to do a bunch of shows like all over Northern California, the Bay. I did like a mini tour till I met James, and then they like came to one of my shows. We chopped it up, and then that was it. Yeah.
I find it interesting, like, when I talk to people who basically anytime I talk to someone's like origin story of like why they chose music, if there's a moment where they're like, I didn't, there's always like, I feel like there's a big redirect moment where it's like, nah, you are,
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
like, I'm gonna give it up, and they're like, tens of thousands of streams, get back in there.
Yeah, or people are just like, no, like you should do it. Like,
Yes.
and they just kind of don't leave you alone about it. So you're like, all right, I'll do it. And then
Yes.
you're like, oh, I actually like this.
And so when was that in comparison to now?
That was, I mean, this was like 2000. That kind of like went on from like 2012 to like 2015, 16.
Okay.
I was putting out mixtapes on DatPiff, doing a bunch of shows. 2017, I moved out to LA. Had an internship at like a digital marketing company. So that's where I kind of learned kind of social media when it was like just Instagram and then like Twitter kind of. And then just started getting into more and more sessions, meeting more and more people. You know how, LA is when you're really trying to do something. You just, if your intentions are good and you have good stuff, it's kind of, in my opinion, it's easier to meet people.
Yeah.
And then till now, just being in all these different rooms, meeting all these different people, writing all these songs, all these different genres of music, different styles that do things till now, I feel like now I kind of had to go through all of these things to be able to like, okay, now I can put out the stuff that I want to make.
Yeah.
For me. You know what I mean? And I kind of, it's kind of crazy. I took out the idea of like the views and the likes.
Mm.
Like I just abandoned it completely.
Mhm.
I'm just like, I just want to do it for me.
Mhm.
Because I found because I remembered when I was doing that when I was younger, that's what worked the best every
Mm.
time. I didn't make things or put music out for that. It was just
Mhm.
kind of like, let me just do it,
Right.
you know? And I think that kind of changes the energy of art.
Yeah. It 100% changes the energy.
Yeah.
I was talking to a different guest, Drea, and she's a producer, and I was like, what makes a session draining and what makes a session like exciting or like fulfilling? And she was basically like, the commonality is whether people are trying to do it for money or not.
Yeah.
Like just the vibes of trying to make a hit. I feel like it's just not the energy that's conducive for creative work.
Yeah.
Like that kind of drive or like a goal orientation I don't think is bad for work in general. Like I think incentivizing certain behavior, like I feel like it's a good fit for sales, for
Yeah.
instance, because it just fits that kind of work. But if you apply the same method to a different medium like creativity or music or art, like that's supposed to be the most human part of us, like the slowest part of us, the part that like just like actively waits for inspiration, not just
Yeah.
sitting and doing nothing, but like always honing your craft. But like you kind of have to wait a little bit for like the muse to visit you or like certain things flow,
Yeah.
like you
Absolutely.
work in between, you hone your craft. And then like I feel like you get visited and then
Yeah.
you like keep working, you get visited,
Yeah.
Um,
I feel the same way. Like going back to like, it's funny you say that because I always figured out how to say that when people ask me like kind of how do I make
mhm,
music,
mhm,
like, and that's just it. Like
mm,
I just like kind of wait for it to come to me,
yeah,
and it's like the little stuff here and there. But like when it comes, it's like boom, ready to go.
right.
And I think you as a musician too. I'm not sure if you've been in sessions where it's like, okay, we have to do this like for
Mhm,
this
mhm,
to make X amount of whatever.
mhm.
It just never really goes
Mm-mm.
well, and it doesn't
Mm-mm.
sound the best.
No.
Like it's like you listen, you make something, and you're like cool, and you go home, listen to it, you're like, this sounds very forced.
Yes.
Like
It
it
sounds
sounds forced.
forced.
Yeah.
Like you can hear
You can
that
yeah,
shit.
yeah. You can hear it, you could feel it, and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
It sounds forced as
I
fuck.
just like in it to me it's been like an active practice to take away kind of like the idea of
Mm.
like I'm gonna put this out to get X amount of likes or X amount of views or
Mhm.
whatever. Because if you do that and you don't get it,
Mhm.
not only are you disappointed, but you're kind of like, dang, I want to take this down, you
Mhm.
know? And I see a
Mhm.
lot of people do that all the time.
Mm.
They like take stuff down and it's like, where'd
Mhm.
this go? This is dope.
Yeah. I feel like online behavior is a really interesting thing to observe, but I like when people I respect it. Like when I see somebody drop something and they're like, you can tell they put effort into that and like they put their heart and soul into it. Like you can tell when something has effort into it and it gets like 25 likes or
Hmm.
whatever a low number for anyone is. And they just spit up. Like I like that. I think it's
I fuck with I
hot.
fuck with it.
It's sexy. It's sexy to be like, I made this and I like it and I'm gonna stand by it. Like that's cool girl, cool guy behavior, you
I
know?
think it's just standing on business,
It
Like
is.
I put this out, like,
You're
because it's
welcome.
even if 25 people like it or like four people comment on it, like I
Mhm.
just think of like real life, right? Like imagine if you went through your day and 27 people said they liked
Oh,
something about you.
I'd be on
Yeah,
cloud
you'd be like, yo,
nine.
like my
I'd
day
be
is good.
floating.
And then on top of that, four more people comment on something, like
Right.
whatever it is.
Right.
So you got 40 people like, dang, bro, like that was tight, or like you look so nice. Like 40 times a day, you'd be, you know what I'm
It would be too much.
saying?
I would
Right.
need to take a break
Right.
from the
Right. Right.
compliments. No, yeah, that's insane, and it is really good to constantly remind yourself. of that reality. And also probably however many likes you're getting, you probably multiply it by like 3
Yeah,
because
because some people don't.
people just don't do it even if they like
Yeah.
it. You're good at that, I feel like. You like stuff, I feel like.
Yeah,
You're like supportive, I feel
yeah,
like.
of course.
Online supportive.
Well, I mean, I support anybody who's willing to be not only be themselves, but put themselves out there.
Mhm.
Because I would rather be somebody who's putting themselves out there than one of those
Mhm.
people who have these long-winded debates about what they're seeing.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying?
Honestly.
Like there's this huge thread right now about like Drake and like Kendrick, and there's
Mhm.
people who
Mhm.
are up at 4 a.m. arguing with other people about these other people who don't even do anything that these people do.
Right.
I'd rather be on the other side of that equation,
Yeah.
you know?
I wonder if that's like a way that you could divide people. Like that is like a distinction, but like there's cat people and there's dog people.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's people who like to talk about what other people are doing, and then there are other people who like doing what other people like to talk about.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I'd rather as well be someone who does things that other people talk about.
Yeah.
Like
And it's okay. It's okay to be the other side as well,
that's
but
fine.
it's
We
just
need people to talk about us.
yeah. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
It's not for me.
Heavy hard pass on that one.
Yeah.
But nah, for real. Okay, so artist side of you.
Hmm.
But the entrepreneur side of you is also like almost as big, just as big, equally as big.
I would say it's equal.
Just 100% on 100%.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is just for me. You know, not a lot of people know, but I have a degree in music business.
Mm.
You know, so I learned the business while I was learning how to make music,
Mhm.
and I think a lot of people skip that step. They kind of
Mhm. Mhm.
make all of the music, do all these things, and then when it comes to the business, they kind of don't know.
Right.
You know, so
Mm.
the entrepreneur side of me is like I like to educate people on not only the business but also kind of like the business of just how to move in a city in general.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like I think
Mhm.
that's also like that's the second step, right? It's like
Mm.
knowing the formal stuff, but also knowing like the
The soft
business, the
skills.
business of like social interactions. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So I try to educate with that.
Mm.
I've had multiple studios of my own
Mm.
where I either managed it or I built it,
Mm.
and within that I would try to educate whoever I worked with. Or I've done artist management, I've done artist development, songwriting, even admin stuff for music,
Mm.
which I think is important. So like my whole thing with that is just like I like to educate, you know what I mean? I like to learn, listen. But I've also had success in the business side of music,
Mm.
you know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You've like it sounds like you've just really been in the ins and outs of like most angles of
Yeah.
music.
Uh-huh.
So you kind of have like a 360 perspective of it from like the artist angle, the business angle, the studio angle,
Yeah.
like
Production as far as like live
production.
show, events,
Yeah.
marketing, branding, like
Yeah.
I think it's important to know a little bit about everything.
Mhm. Mhm.
It just makes it easier to kind of meet the right people, and also it just helps with whatever you're trying to put out.
Mhm.
Whether it's music, whether you do videos or photographer, like it just helps knowing.
Yeah. Okay, so put us on game. Like give us a little tidbit, something.
Well, what I
It,
what I would say when it comes to music business is that it's always changing,
mm.
right?
Mhm.
There's like the best thing that I think I've done is I've subscribed to a lot of forums, music business
Oh,
forums,
okay.
LinkedIn.
Mhm.
Reddit is really good for that too. I think that's probably the best thing someone could do is just to stay up to date because things
On what's
change.
going on.
Yeah, people set the precedent for things all
Mm.
the time. It's always changing. These companies are always changing. They're always laying people off. When you start seeing that, that's how you kind of know where music business is going.
Mm.
When all these companies start laying people off, it's because someone's doing something
Mm.
that's making it shift.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Or even like like right now, there's a platform where you can sell your art directly
Mm-hmm.
to your audience. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you have to build the audience first, right?
Right.
But what we're kind of seeing is that no large artist has done it yet, but they've done it in small ways. But I think eventually big artists will start to do that.
Sold directly
Yeah.
to the
Like
consumer.
yeah. Like for example, like Kanye right now.
Mm-hmm.
Everything on Yeezy is $20.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And his whole idea behind that is like, yo, I have X amount of million followers. If 10% of people buy my product at $20, I stand to make this much.
Mm-hmm.
And people that backed it were like, sounds great.
Right.
And
Makes sense.
you know what I mean?
So starting their own brands, is that what you mean?
It's like, it's kind of everything. It's like having a brand, having the music, having maybe like a physical product
Mm-hmm.
that you got to, curate your audience first.
Right.
Even if it's 100 people.
Right.
100 people buy $30 worth of your stuff every
Fire.
month,
That's a great
do the
seller.
math. You know what I mean? So that's kind of why I see it moving. Like Kanye's doing that on like a small scale right now. But
Mm-hmm.
think about if Beyonce today was like, I'm taking all my music off streaming and you can get it all at Beyonce.com for $10 a month.
Yeah.
She would stand to make it. It'd be astronomical. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think if you just kind of have that in mind when you're making something, it kind of can help with the business side of whatever you're doing.
To keep your audience in mind?
Just to curate an audience that is for you, that you can sell to directly.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell anybody the way to do that because everyone's way is different.
Right.
But there is a way to do that because we've seen it, on here and there.
Right. Which is another reason why it's important when you're making your content, if you like it and you feel like it represents you in some way, you need to put it out there because the people who find it are also going to be the people who are going to buy from you too. And it doesn't matter if it's those 24 people. If those 24 people buy $1,000 product from you, that's $24,000.
Yeah.
Like,
and people will. We've seen it.
people will.
We've seen it. Like, I don't know if you remember a couple years back when Wu-Tang sold their album for like, I think it was like $1 million or something, and they only made a couple, and they sold them all. And only those 7 people have it.
Right.
But they made, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like people will do it.
So it's more about really having diehard.
Yeah. If you can have somehow curate X amount of number of diehard fans, like just break it down, then like it can be done.
Yes.
But like you said, the content or whatever you're making, you have to has to be you.
Yeah.
It can't just be like something you saw that worked for somebody else.
Right, and you're just copying it.
Yeah, because it might work a little, but not really.
Has to be your version, your take on it, your spin on it.
Mm-hmm.
Authentic to you in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's funny, like this is like a very silly, tiny example, but I feel like on Threads, sometimes I'll see people use my same exact wordage.
Yep.
But they'll get like 24 likes and mine had like 500 or something. And I'm like, I wonder if that has anything to do with anything. Like, you know what I mean? Or
I mean, I think it does because the people who already saw that, they know where it's from.
Sure, right.
Because like
people who would like that kind of a thing.
Yeah, because Threads is like kind of a small community right now.
It is.
And like if you like, no, Threads is dope.
I fucking love
I'm not gonna lie, Threads is dope. I kind of started a crazy conversation on it today.
Really?
Yeah. But yeah, if you look at the comments of somebody who might have taken your thing, someone who would be like, "Oh, that's funny because I've seen this from,"
right.
People come to your aid on Threads,
right?
Like they'll be
no,
like,
it's true.
Yeah.
It's such a vibe over there.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. It's a good way to grow too.
It is. It really is, and it's a good way to like just connect with like real people. I feel like it's my favorite platform. It's felt the most personal, I feel like.
Yeah.
It's manageable enough, but it also reaches a lot of new people, which is cool. So I really like it.
Yeah.
And you can be super prolific on there because
Yeah,
it's so
yeah.
short.
And I think the way it's designed is so everybody sees it, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
Like other platforms, I think they kind of like limit it in some way. I don't know what
Yeah.
it is exactly, but it's there. We all know
Yeah.
it's there.
Uh-huh.
But on Threads, I feel like everybody sees everyone's stuff.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with that audience, like if you really find people who are for you, I feel like a lot of the times, like even if you think of a product of any kind, even if it's a digital product versus like a physical product, like I feel like people who fuck with me are gonna have like probably a similar taste as
Mm-hmm.
me.
Yep.
And they're probably gonna have similar problems as me. And they're gonna see something in me that reflects them.
Mm-hmm.
So like if I make a shirt that I think is dope and I would definitely wear, like there's probably gonna be other people who also think it's dope and would wear it too. You
Yeah.
know?
1000%.
That's like the best. I don't know. I feel like as someone who I used to feel like I'm not into business, that's like scary. I just want to make art. Like I
Mm-hmm.
felt like that at one point. But I'm like, "Oh, no, it's not. It's not scary at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's actually really fun and really cute and it's just finding all your friends who like the same thing as you."
That's it. And you just kind of figure it out. You know?
Yeah.
That's really all it is. It's just like put something out. Oh, y'all like this too? All right, let me try something else. Oh, y'all like this too? All right, let me combine the two. And now everybody likes this one thing, and it's just like,
Mhm. Mhm.
because people like to be a part of something.
They do.
That's why people like sports. That's why people like certain
Yes.
actors and actresses.
Mhm.
Certain characters. They're like, oh, that I feel that.
Yes. Yeah. So I guess, I mean, I feel like as artists, that's also part of the job is having something that people feel like they can be a part of.
Mm-hmm.
And also believing in your own abilities and your own personality or your own value system to be like, I have something worth being a part of. And that's why I promote myself. That's why I'm making videos. That's why I'm making content. Not because I have to as an artist, but because like join me in this like cool thing that I think could be a worthy thing to be a part of,
Yeah.
you know?
Uh-huh. And I think you do a really good job with that. Like, I think all your
Thank
content
you.
is like super dope, super inspiring. You had a really good point the other day when you were like, "Oh, all these artists feel like, oh, I have to do this
Mm.
content, and like it's so draining. Why can't I
Mhm.
just be an artist?" But your point was, you're like, think of back in, I think you said like Mozart days or something, where it's
Yeah.
like, there's probably like, and I had to think about this. I was like, there's probably so many dope people around, like
Geniuses.
probably better
Probably better.
that just like didn't do the things, like
Mhm.
all the things.
Mhm.
And it did and like you said, like now it's like you have an opportunity, you have all these platforms to potentially put yourself out there to have somebody, kind of connect with it.
Mhm.
And I think if more people um think about it more that way when it comes to
Mhm.
content, then I think it becomes easier.
Yes. Yes.
That's what I think.
Yeah, you were saying something earlier. I forget what it was, but the nature of it, like the words that you were using were um like let go of or make room for or like things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Just like I think it's important to figure out like if you're running up against a wall in like your art or your business or something, like sometimes I feel like it's just like you just kind of need to push through and like keep going. And other times it's like, oh, I think other times it's just maybe taking a step back,
Hmm.
reframing, reevaluating and like and in that sense it's doing the same thing but it's just like, oh, maybe I can walk around the wall or
Hmm.
like over the wall. Like I don't have to go through
Yeah,
it.
maybe I should quit trying to go through the wall and just like get
Yes.
over the wall.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I feel like yeah, you can do that through a perspective shift,
Yep.
you know?
Hmm.
Um,
Or even like, like I see all this stuff all the time. We see all this like, oh, like don't quit, don't stop, don't whatever. But for me, I'm like, I think you should quit quicker and quit more often
mm,
if it doesn't align or it's not working.
mhm,
Like pivot, you know what I mean?
mm,
Like instead of just trying to do something for so long
Right.
because of the don't quit attitude. But it's like
Mm.
it's kind of like a job, right? Like
Right.
we all know people who work at these jobs that they just absolutely fucking hate every day.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just like, why don't you don't have to do that.
Right.
You could just quit, go around it to something else.
Mm-hmm.
Like you should have did it sooner,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I agree with you.
Hmm. And I feel like in order to discern the difference between am I quitting or am I pivoting, like it just requires a bit of mindfulness and a
Hmm.
little bit of self-reflection. So I feel like that's actually a really underrated soft skill for artists and entrepreneurs to be able to be like, wait a minute, like why am I doing
Hmm.
this? And like, is this actually the thing that serves me? And also, what's the story that I'm telling myself around this thing? Am I telling myself if I don't do it in this way, I'm a quitter? Or can I tell myself a different story and say, oh, I ran up against an obstacle and I realized that I had found another way and I pivoted? Like, one of those is positive and one of those is negative.
Hmm.
But it could also be the other situation where it's like, "Oh, I'm just pivoting. Oh, I'm just pivoting. I'm just pivoting," when really it's like, "Well, you're just avoiding the work that you need to do." So
Yeah,
it's like only you really
only you know.
know what
And
you're doing.
I think that most people know like what they're doing.
Yeah, if they really yeah.
I even if I know what you're gonna say, but even if that, you still, if you have a conscience, you still know, like deep down, you know,
Yeah.
you know. And I think what people get away with is over time they just tell themselves all these things to ignore that no,
Mhm. Mhm.
and that's when it gets gets a little tricky. But you
Mhm.
you know, everybody knows.
I do think that that's true. I actually think that maybe the voice of intuition isn't so it's in the stillness, it is, but it's also, like, not hiding from you.
I don't think it ever is.
It's pretty
You hide it,
loud,
yeah.
and I feel that a lot of people just quiet the that buzzing pain with, like, overworking or being in a relationship and then not being in that one because it's too hard and then getting into a new one, just being in a chain of relationships. Drugs, alcohol, sex are all classic ways in which we numb the
It could even
intuition.
be something as just like TV,
It could
you
be
know?
literally Netflix.
Yeah, or like you're like scrolling
It could
or
be Disney
whatever.
Plus.
Yeah, anything
It
to
could be
just
anything.
quiet that noise, but it's like it's always there.
It's there.
Yeah,
Sometimes it even gets I wonder if maybe the more extreme versions of substance abuse that we find are the people who have like the loudest intuition and they're trying to quiet it with the most intense thing that they can find because they don't have the tools or whatever for whatever circumstance.
I would
They
agree.
can't face it, you know?
Yeah,
Which is such a shame because I feel like those people probably have like the greatest capacity to like be whatever they're meant to be, like create change in the world or whatever. Um but because these like numbing things are so available to us and I don't know, for whatever reason we believe that the pain of we'd rather deal with that pain
yeah.
than actually
I just
facing
think after
ourselves.
a while, people would probably think it's comfortable, it's easy.
Yeah, it's what they know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people, I mean, we all know people like this who are like always sad or like always
Yeah.
sick or like always something. And then
Mhm.
you ask them like, "Yo, do you still want to be like this?"
Mhm.
And if you really ask them without saying it, they'll say like, "Yeah, I kind of want to stay like this
Mm.
because that's comfortable." And it's like it's the same situation, and
Yeah.
it's like, "Oh, you're giving me attention right now because I'm this way."
Mhm.
Like it's interesting. It's super interesting. I've had some people who were close to me. I asked them like, "Do you just want to be sad for the rest of your
Yeah.
life?" And some of them were like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "Okay, like,
Yeah.
okay." So
I mean, it also kind of I feel like takes a little bit of maybe just perspective or foresight, or I don't know, something to just be somebody who sees someone who's just choosing that, and
Mhm.
to just be like, "That's cool, like, that's totally fine,"
It's
like,
okay.
like, I don't need to force you to be if you wanna be actively sad, like, you get to do that with your life, actually, and, yeah, and then we all get to respond accordingly
Yeah.
to whatever people may or may not be doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah. But, I mean, taking responsibility for everything in your life, yeah, it's adult shit.
Yeah.
It's not for kids.
No. Yeah, it's, I think a lot of the kind of cliches our parents tell us growing up, like they sound really dumb, but they're just like so true.
Like what?
Like you are like in complete control of your life.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like for the most part.
A huge majority of
Yeah,
it.
huge. Barring like a tremendous pandemic or like a environmental disaster or something, right?
Right.
But for the most part, we are like completely in control of our lives.
Yes.
What I really had to do when I was like injured and sick is like I really had to like assess myself on like a really deep level and then take back some of that control,
Mhm.
because getting injured like that was completely out of my control. Like that was like super random.
Right.
Like there's a sport I played my whole life, never got hurt.
Mm.
So I think it's just super important to do that.
Mhm.
But it's really hard to do.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
because it's easy to blame everything else, to
Yeah.
blame the weather or like,
Mhm.
like your parents or where you live or your job or your car or whatever.
Mhm.
But it's like you said, just being in stillness and just really like, okay, I can change kind of any situation I'm in if I
Mm.
want to,
Mm.
even though it's hard, but you can do it.
Mhm. It's like I just feel like one life is going to be hard, period. Like time is going to pass however you use it or not, like if something is going to take 10 years, if it's going to take 10 years for you to do X, Y, and Z, it's like, well, you're going to be going through those 10 years anyways. So,
Anyway,
and um also, if you look for it, you'll always for people who may and the reason that I know this is because I have also been in this situation where you can always find somebody who has had it easier, who had
hmm
more resources, who had a better family, who's more beautiful, richer, whatever. And but if that is the case, you can also always find an equal amount of people who had less than you,
yeah,
who are not as beautiful as you,
oh
who
yeah,
have less money, who have worse parents, who are way ahead of you too. So it's
hmm
like you literally like so what life do you want to choose? The one where you're powerless or the one where you can make shit happen if you want to?
yeah.
Like those are the two
It's like
options.
choose your hard.
Choose your hard.
Yeah,
Do you want to actually and also it's kind of fun cuz then you get to be a part of it
yeah,
instead of being a passive player in life. It's actually cool. Yeah, it's tough, but I don't know. Life is tough.
yeah. I don't know. I'd rather be a player in the game than just like a non-player, playable
Right.
character.
That's really like the theme of this conversation, I feel
Yeah,
like. Player versus non-player.
yeah.
It's true.
Very true.
Hmm. So what are you excited about in the near future?
Um, like I said, I have so much music that I want to put out. So much. It's so many different parts of me. With the new music I got coming out, and a lot of it's like I have between the projects. Like it's a lot of the things are like very different. You know, like of course I'm doing like the classic like rap with like some things, but a lot of things I'm doing like even some like punk rock stuff,
Hmm.
which has kind of been
Fun.
something I've always been interested in.
Hmm.
So I'm just excited for that, and I'm excited to um, visually put out the things I want to put out because like you know even like when I not only working on music when I was like sick or whatever, I also kind of been like writing like little scripts here and there
Hmm.
because I have like some films I want to like produce. Like me and James, we got like two movies we're trying to like put together.
Sick.
Yeah. So I'm just excited to just finally be able to, be healthy and be able to put out music on a consistent basis and
Mm-hmm.
art without kind of the restrictions of am I going to get any likes or views or whatever, because it's going to get that regardless
Mm-hmm.
with how I see things going,
Right.
because I realize that most people's fan base, it's like, yeah, when you like something or somebody, it's like, yeah, you like their art, but it's like who they are as a person, like, like how they dress or how they act. It's like, yeah, I like this guy. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So that's what I'm excited for, to really put everything I've been working on, just put it out and then just expand on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fire. How exciting.
Yeah, I'm stoked.
Yeah. So it's like you've gone through the process, got all this input, you created it, and now it's just basically releasing it to
Yeah.
the world
It's just
at
like
this
go
point.
time. Yeah.
It's go time. That's fun. That's a really fun part of the process.
Yeah,
I feel like
I'm stoked.
exciting.
Yeah.
Amazing. So where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram, all social mediums you use. It's all the same. It's just at Howflyy with 2 Y's. Yeah, everything's the same across any platform you come on. I got the username for all those. So
Fire.
yeah,
Well, thank you.
you're
Thanks for
welcome.
coming
Of
on.
course.
Thanks for watching this episode. If you enjoyed it, let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to Traklife Music and follow Pearls of Wisdom Pod on Instagram and on Spotify.